like to throw in one more thing too, if we could, and Father, get your opinion on this as well as Dr. Jared here. After Mass, I want to make a humble plea to everybody out there. Be quiet. After Mass, don't start treating the church like it's a conference center. People start leaning on the pews with their back to the altar, talking. I know there's a handful of people at least that want to pray, spend some time, prayer of thanksgiving, be with our Lord for just a few more minutes. And oftentimes people just start talking, oh, how are you? And this and that. And there was a time years ago, as I grew up, is you kept a real reverent. If you had to say anything, you talk soft, you whispered, and it was minimal. If you're going to talk to somebody, hey, let's step out of the church and maybe do it out here, in the vestibule and narthex area. Let's at least keep this space sacred by not getting carried away and making it too casual. I think, along with the ideas of trying to dress up a bit more for Mass is always a great idea. It's another sign of the reverence of what's going on there. But Father and Doctor, could you both give your opinion on just the idea of keeping the space in the church a little more sacred with our conversation to a minimum and quieter so people can pray? And it also just keeps the atmosphere that there's something different about this space than any other space on the planet here in the church. Father, your thoughts on that?
Well, I do believe that when we stripped out the churches of all this beautiful imagery and architecture and things like that back in the day, and my church is very beautiful. And so I'll give that as an example. You open the door of my church and all of a sudden your voice goes like this.
Yeah. You feel like you should be reverent and silent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think with modern designs, very plain, looks like a conference center. It's harder, and we have to make more of a conscious effort because of that. But you're exactly right, Doug, that you treat, again, that awe and wonder. I'm in God's presence here. Doctor, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, it just goes back to the fact of, do we really believe this? Do we believe that Jesus is right there?
Right.
And do we act in accord with that belief?
Right.
To really be able to show to others that I'm honoring that presence. And, I know we don't like to think about kings and all of that anymore in our democratic society, but if you had, an audience with the king, it's not like you're going into the throne room and saying, hey, how's the weather today? What do you think about that? And it's like, no, you honor and respect, the king, on his throne right in front of you. And
this
all
is
the more
king
so
of
with
kings.
our Lord. Yeah. And we want people to stay around and talk, but that's also a reason for having a place for them to go and to continue that conversation elsewhere. I think it can be something that, people can pick up and it can be taught, but we just have to put up signs. I've seen churches do that, on the door, prominently so people can see it. You make some announcements and say, hey, we want everyone to stick around after church. We want you to talk, but please honor this sacred space and continue your conversations in the social hall or, narthex or wherever. So.